Hi everyone, my name is Jaime. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I make videos about knitting and fibre arts and yarn, and today's video is going to be a knitting podcast. It occurred to me that I haven't done one of these in like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, that wasn't intentional. I think because I've still been updating you guys on my projects in my vlogs and just like some other videos that I've done over the last few months, I just didn't realize that it had actually been that long since I'd like sat down and just laid it all out, like here is what I'm working on, here's what I finished. So I thought I would do that today because I can't believe we're already more than halfway through February. The year is gonna go very fast, so I want to make sure I'm keeping you guys in the loop with everything that I am making because I feel like I've been knitting a lot. When I see it all kind of sitting here, it doesn't look like as much, but yeah, I've been knitting a lot. I've been on a bit of a designing kick, a bit of a streak the last couple of months. I've just had a lot of success, I guess, just like ideas that I've had coming to fruition, and it's been really rewarding, and it's been really nice to see that there's been a really good reception to those designs so far from what I've shared. So yeah, I've been enjoying doing that, but I've also been enjoying just following other people's patterns. I'm actually pattern testing at the moment, which we'll get to. Yeah, I've been working on a few different projects that are from other designers as well. So it's a good mix. I think it's always really important for me to have that balance so I don't burn out, but also keep my creative juices flowing. I will say, if you've been keeping up, you will have probably seen almost all of these projects, I think, except one. I showed a few of my whips in my WA vlog that I posted a few weeks ago. If you haven't watched that yet, it's long, but I would recommend checking it out. I actually vlogged the whole process of knitting one of these FOs here, and then also shared my progress on some of them. One is still a whip, one is an FO now. So a lot of stuff is in there. And then also the video before that was my year-end wrap-up video, which I think a lot of you guys did watch, so thank you. So everything that I didn't talk about then, except for the one project that I started recently, I would have talked about in that video, but I don't think I went into much depth because I was like, I'm going to talk about this in a podcast at some point, and then kind of waited a while to film that, so that is here. So yeah, if this is like a bit repetitive, if you guys have been keeping up with all of my videos, I'm sorry, but you know, we got to make sure that everyone's up to speed, and I still thought it was worthwhile talking about all those pieces because I don't think I really went into much depth. So yeah, this is kind of the space to do that. So yeah, I guess we'll stop rambling and get straight into more rambling. So I think it's best to start with FOs because we have quite a few, and I'm gonna start with what I'm wearing because I'm just so obsessed with it, and it's finally starting to sort of cool down. We've had this like weird cool change in Melbourne. We had this crazy heat wave last week, and then over the weekend it just got like so cold. Like it went from like 38 degrees to like 18 degrees over the weekend, so we literally dropped 20 degrees in temperature, which is crazy. So I went from just like sweating all week to finally being able to rug up a little bit. It was like rainy and really gloomy, but yeah, we're in a bit of a confusing patch because obviously it's February, it's still summer, so I shouldn't be able to wear this yet, but I live in a very confused climate. So this is the situation. I'm finally getting to wear this piece because I finished it like maybe in November, I want to say. Yeah, I think I finished it in November. So I couldn't wear it then. It was already warming up. So I kind of just have been waiting patiently, and I've finally just been taking every opportunity, even though I have been a bit hot wearing it. It's probably not cold enough yet, but it's colder than it was. So we're making it work. But yeah, this is my... well, not my newest design, but one of my newest designs. It is the design I currently have in testing. It is called the Shortcake sweater. I can like stand up so you guys can see the full thing. You can see the ribbing is also striped, and the same with the sleeves. And my favorite detail, I'm actually gonna have to turn around to show you, is actually at the back shoulder. You can see there is this shoulder detail, shoulder shaping detail. I used German short rows, which I am starting to get more confident in with using in my designs, but I really wanted to like keep the stripe pattern going, how there's like the smaller stripe in between the big stripes, and I was like, how do I make that happen? And I honestly just kind of, I know there's like a way that you can do this with I-cords. I've learned since I made this. I mean, I haven't learned the actual way, but I know that that is a thing. But I actually didn't do that. So I just kind of made it up. I basically just did a long tail cast on in the white and then knit all the stripes. But when I was picking up stitches for the front shoulders, I just kind of, sorry that I'm just like speaking to you like this. Yeah, I just kind of figured out a way to make it so that the cast on edge still sticks out, but looks really clean. It took me a while to finally get the pattern written up, just with like going on holiday and just getting a little bit out of routine, but I finally finished it, and it is now in testing, and honestly just the response has been so incredible and heartwarming, because I really like haven't had such a huge response to a testing call in a while, so it makes me really happy that you guys are also excited about this design and love it as much as I do. The yarn I used is Cascade 220, which was actually my first time using this yarn. I bought it from my friend Phoebe from Friday Knits when she was destashing, I can't say that word, when she was destashing some yarn. I decided to go for a folded collar. I was like debating whether or not I continued with this like stripe ribbing situation, or I think actually it was originally going to be a turtleneck, yeah, and I was going to do that, but then I just decided not to, and I definitely don't regret that decision. I don't really have like a ton more to say about it, other than it matches my earrings that I bought while I was away, these little mushroom earrings. I just think they're the cutest things ever, and they match perfectly. So yeah, I've definitely been having a bit of a red moment this past maybe like 6 months or so. I've just been like all of a sudden appreciating red, which has been lovely. Red and pink I feel like is very in at the moment, so I had to jump at the opportunity and something when I saw the yarn was being destashed. So keep an eye out. The pattern is going to be released in April if all goes to plan. I will keep you guys updated. Make sure you're following me on Instagram if you want to get those updates, because that is where I'm updating the most regularly. Okay, next one is one that I'm probably not going to go too much into, because I made an entire vlog knitting this piece from start to finish, vlog the whole thing, which I don't often do, but decided to for this project. And that is the Riley tee, which is a pattern by Rachel Knits Things. She is actually not very active anymore, or maybe not at all. I don't think she's posted in the last like 2-ish years maybe. But I found this pattern on Ravelry when I was browsing, trying to find a t-shirt pattern for DK yarn, and it was really hard for me to find the right thing that matched kind of what I was after. But I'm so happy I found this pattern, because it is absolutely perfect. It is exactly what I was looking for, and I have worn it so much ever since I finished it. I think I finished just also in November, and I've just worn it so much, or maybe December, I don't know, November, December-ish, I can't really remember exactly, but I have worn it so much since then. Anytime the weather drops below like 25 degrees, I'm wearing this. I've worn it to work a ton, and it's just such a great piece, and I'm just, yeah, I can't say enough good things. Firstly, the yarn is so stunning. Just hold it up so that you can actually see the entire thing. The yarn is yarn that I bought secondhand as well. There's a little bit of a theme there. Actually, there'll be a few more, maybe one more secondhand yarn purchase that I'll talk about. But yeah, I bought this yarn secondhand when I went to this beautiful florist. I vlogged this whole thing, so I probably sound like a broken record every time I bring it up, but you can watch that vlog if you want to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, there was this beautiful florist that was like selling all of this beautiful hand-dyed yarn for $15 a skein, and so I went a bit crazy. So I'm like slowly making my way through all of the yarn that I bought that day, because yeah, I bought a lot and I've still not gone through all of it, but I have knit with quite a bit of it now, I think. So we're getting there. We're definitely getting our money's worth, that's for sure. So this yarn is from Yarn Cafe Creations, and it's their DK base, and the colorway I think was Raspberry Tort. I had 3 skeins of this, and so I think I used every last drop for this tee. I had to be a bit methodical with how I knit the sleeves, just to make sure that I had enough to finish both of them. But I did. I think I actually just had to, I mean, I talked about this in the video, but I had to use actually some of this Cascade 220 yarn to cast off the folded hem, because I didn't have enough yarn, but you literally would never know because you can't see that on the outside. So we made it work, that's for sure. This is just a perfect staple tee design. I just can't stress it enough. The colors are incredible. I'm obsessed with just how vibrant and beautiful they are. I get so many compliments on this when I wear it, so I'm really happy that I bought that yarn, because I think I was a bit like Not sure if I actually wanted to buy it at the time, but I'm really glad I did. And also just the yarn itself is just so soft and lovely, and it's one of my favorite things that I've knitted in a while. It's just so wearable, but yet like using this fun yarn like still makes it like colorful and interesting. And then also I should mention that it does have this lace detailing along the shoulder, and it's actually my first ever saddle shoulder design that I've ever made. I was a little bit hesitant and like unsure of how it was all going to come together when I was knitting it. You can watch the vlog to see my trials and tribulations. But once I kind of wrapped my head around it, it's actually really basic construction, and I don't know why I was freaking out so much. So maybe I'll design something with a saddle shoulder at some point, who knows. But yeah, it's a very thin saddle shoulder, if that makes sense. Like the saddle shoulder part is only the lace section. So I've seen some that like come down and take up like the entire shoulder, whereas this one is just like pretty narrow. It's like a kind of like a subtle detail, and obviously with this yarn you can't really see it as much as you would if it was like not a variegated yarn, but I think you can still tell that there's a beautiful detail. And of course there's some gorgeous short row shaping that is just makes it sit really, really nicely on the shoulders, of course. And like I said, that folded hem at the neckline, the sleeves, and at the bottom. So it just has such a clean finish. This brings me so much joy, and it filled the exact void in my closet that I was aiming to fill. So that is always like a really satisfying feeling. So yeah, highly recommend the pattern. It's called the Riley Tee, like I said, by Rachel Knits Things. I will try have everything linked in the description, all the patterns that I mentioned. So check it out if you are interested in knitting a tee like this. Okay, the next two pieces that I'm going to show you are actually the same design because I made two samples and both of them have been shown. The first one I showed in my Everything I Made in 2024 video, and the second one I actually was knitting while I was in WA, so I vlogged basically that whole process kind of like alongside vlogging my trip. So I will show you both of them. I'll try and like highlight the details. It might not be as obvious without me wearing it, but I don't really feel like changing right now. So you might just have to take my word for it because yeah, I really don't feel like trying them on. I did try this one on in that video, so if you want to see me wearing it, I probably talked about the things I didn't like about it or just wanted to change, and I can assure you that they've all been fixed with the second sample. But for now, I'm just going to hold them up and hopefully I can explain the differences. So I don't actually have a name yet for this design. So if that is something that you think you can help me with, please do, because I am a little bit stumped and I would love some suggestions. So if you have any, please leave them in the comments. I would be very grateful because I need to come up with a name very soon because I'm going to be needing to put it into testing, and I like to ideally have a name before I do a testing call. But yeah, anyway, this is the first sample I made. And it was definitely a labor of love. I had to frog quite a few times, and then for it to not come out perfect is very frustrating. But I guess it was silver lining because I'm so incredibly happy with how the second one came out. Like, I think it was all kind of meant to be. And this is still like a wearable piece for me. It's just not exactly fitting exactly how I wanted it to. So it was worth making a second one for that. But it's not for nothing because I'll still wear it. So this is my first tank top design. I have made so many tank tops, mind you, so many, but they've never been my own pattern. I've had a bit of a fear of negative ease, like of designing with it. Like just my brain has always been like, no, that's hard, that's complicated, don't do that. Like just stick with positive ease, it's always easier. It's got more wiggle room, I guess. But I just decided to just push myself, I guess. I have more or less finished grading it. I think I'm still figuring out all the stitch counts and stuff. So I'll let you guys know how I go with it once it's all done. But like so far, I don't think it's as bad as I kind of made it out to be. So yay for like pushing myself out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I kind of wanted to do a tank top design for a while, but I didn't really want to do it until I had like an idea that I felt was like unique and worth doing. I didn't want to just like add another, you know, basic tank top to the pool of basic tank top patterns out there. So I waited until a design kind of came to me, and it came to me, okay? It came to me because I decided I wanted to do something with a cabled armhole edge. I feel like I've been seeing this here and there, like it's kind of like an emerging trend, which is cool because I'm always so late to those things. You'll see one of the other patterns that I'm talking about in this video that I may or may not be testing also has a cabled armhole, very different to this one. But yeah, I think that it's kind of becoming this new trend, which is kind of cool. I know it's not for everyone. I did a little poll on my Instagram being like, how do you feel about these cabled edges? And I think majority of people said they like it, but there were definitely people who were like, not for me. So if it's not for you, that's cool. I think it looks really sick and I'm excited about the whole concept. So yeah, it's pretty much just a stockinette tank, but it's got, as I said, the cabled armhole edge, and then the cable actually continues. I'll like open it up so you can see. You'll definitely be able to see this better with the other color, but yeah, the cable actually continues on either side all the way down the side of the tank. So you can kind of see kind of how that continues, and obviously it's on both sides. And then what I also did, just to kind of keep the cable theme going, was I did like a cabled rib around the neckline and then also at the bottom. So that's the basic design. There is some bust shaping, which is one of the things that I tinkered with a little bit in the second one, but there is bust shaping because I basically just wanted to design a tank that fits your body perfectly, or as perfectly as possible, because as someone who has like a bigger bust, I'm not like, you know, I don't have like the biggest bust ever, but I do have a bigger bust than I think is kind of normal for like my waist size. I don't know. It's like slightly disproportionate, and I often find with some of the tanks that I've knit, although I love them and I wear them, they fit me around my bust because I choose the size based on my bust, but then they just kind of like hang below and they like don't kind of hug my body. They just kind of sit below because there's no shaping, which means that, you know, when my waist comes in, becomes smaller, the tank does not. So I wanted to try and do some bust shaping to account for that, I guess, and hopefully make it like actually form fit my body, if that makes sense, make it more form fitting. I am going to make that optional in the pattern because I know not everyone has like a super disproportionate bust to waist ratio and they might not need that, so it is going to be optional, but I wanted to include it. I didn't use bust darts, I know that's a thing. I just wanted to do it on the edges because I didn't want it to be super visible and obvious. So yeah, I just kind of did it with some decreases after the armholes. So that is how I've done it. So that was one of the things. And then I also wanted to like really intentionally make this so that it would fit in a way that covers your bra straps, because like I said before, as someone with a bigger bust, like I'm always wearing a bra. Like the option of not wearing a bra with a tank top is really not something I'm willing to explore really ever. Obviously you can wear strapless bras, but even then, not the most comfortable, and I prefer wearing a bra with straps. I feel more supported that way. But what I have found is that I think every single tank top I have does not cover my bra straps entirely, especially because some of my bras have thicker straps. Not all, but some of them do. And it makes it a bit of a challenge because firstly, my bras don't always match what I'm wearing. And secondly, I just don't always want them showing. Like, there's nothing wrong with them showing, but I just don't always want them showing. So I wanted to be quite conscious of that. Obviously not with it, like I don't want the sleeves falling off. It's not a vest, it is a tank, but I just wanted to like take that extra care to make the straps just that extra bit thicker, just to make sure that you're kind of covered all the way across the shoulder so that no bra strap is showing. And then additionally, and this was something that I needed to fix with the second sample, I wanted to make sure that there would be no bra showing under the arms, because that is also something I have found with pretty much all of my tank tops, is that the armholes are just slightly too big and you can usually see my bra underneath, and that is not the vibe that I wanted. I just wanted it to be like basically a perfect fitting tank that wouldn't show my bra at all. So that was the goal, and I didn't quite achieve it with this sample, so that is why I made another one. Also, just like after blocking, I was able to get like a much better idea, even though I blocked my swatch, but like I was able to get a better idea of exactly what the measurements would be after blocking, and then that really helped me inform the changes that I made to the second sample, and lo and behold, it worked out really well for the second sample. So yeah, I'm definitely pro making two samples when needed. I don't always think it's necessary, but in this case it definitely was, and it was definitely worth it. So yeah, it ended up being a bit longer, so I chopped some length off the first sample. Obviously the length's going to be adjustable like to whatever is your preference, but you know, because also this is work from the top down, which I don't think I mentioned. This also is, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, with it being work top down, it's very easily adjustable lengthwise, but I like my tops really cropped. I don't know if that's a shock. If you're not new here, you will not be surprised to know that I like everything cropped. I wear exclusively high-waisted bottoms, and especially with something as like form-fitting as a tank top, like I said, I do not want that being any longer than where my pants or shorts sit, because then it's a bit of an awkward situation when you have to like, do you tuck it in? Do you put it over? Like, it just looks a bit weird. So I want to make sure that there's no overlap with that. And I think I already kind of have a short torso, so I did need to make it a bit shorter, but I understand that that's not for everyone. Some people like wearing lower waisted bottoms. They like to have their things longer, or they just have longer torso. So the length will be adjustable in the pattern, but in terms of the sample and how I wanted it to fit me, I definitely wanted to chop some length off, which I still could do with this. Like, I could definitely just unravel a couple of rows if I really want to. Who knows if I'll ever actually be able to doing that. So yeah, anyway, I think those are all like the things about the pattern, and then I will show you kind of how I adjusted them in the second one. I'll also mention the yarn because I haven't done that. This was yarn that I bought at the Australian Yarn Show last year, which I'm very excited is coming around again very soon, like maybe like 2-3 weeks from now, which is crazy. So very excited about going back to Canberra for the Australian Yarn Show this year. But yeah, this was one of my Australian Yarn Show 2024 purchases. I bought 2 skeins from Skip Rope Yarn Co. I have one of her yarns up there, so I was just double checking I got it right. From Skip Rope Yarn Co. It's like a kind of like a variegated tonal, and I can't remember the name actually. I think it was like a one of a kind or like a limited edition, not one of a kind. I think it was like a limited edition colorway. I don't actually know if it had like a official name. I think it said like Sunday Sessions, but I actually don't know if that's the name of the colorway. But yeah, it's kind of like this eggplanty, beetrooty, purpley pink that is very hard to photograph. That was another reason I wanted to make another sample, was because in hindsight, this is a very difficult color to photograph. So I wanted to have one that would kind of show up a bit better on camera. Obviously in real life, it's beautiful and striking, and I love the color, but on camera, I really don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of doing it justice now, but it does look like, it always kind of makes it just look brighter than it is in real life. Like in real life, it's definitely a bit darker than it's showing up right now. But yeah, that's the colorway. It's just the sock yarn. This was knit on 3mm needles. So it was definitely a tedious process, especially making 2 of them with 3mm needles, but my hands survived. But yeah, so that is this unnamed tank top first sample. I will now hold up the second one, and obviously I'm not gonna yap as much about this one because it's the same design, but it is, I feel like, showing up really, really white. I want to like get more of that pink. Yeah, there we go. Maybe that's more accurate. Yeah, this is the second sample that I made while I was on holiday in WA on our road trip. It was a great road trip project because it was really compact and just easy to take in and out of my bag and just take around with me. And like I said, it literally fixed all the problems, so I'm so happy I did it. The yarn that I used is from Rainbows and Sprinkles, who is a Perth-based dyer. I actually went and picked up the yarn from her house. We were driving down south from Perth because she like lives already kind of on the way, so it was really convenient because I didn't have to pay for shipping, and I actually got the yarn I think on a Boxing Day sale, so I got the yarn on a discount, which was great. And I had never bought directly from her. I do have one skein, it's hanging up there. I actually don't know if you can probably see it, but I do have one skein from her that I bought from Maker Maker, which is a yarn store in Melbourne. But yeah, I never like bought directly from her from my website, so I was really excited to finally be able to do that because her yarn is just like so me. It's like so bright and beautiful and colorful and amazing, and I don't know why it's taken me this long. So definitely not the last purchase I'm making from my website. I'm trying to remember the name of the colorway. I think it's I Hope Your Day Shimmers, I want to say, and I'm gonna correct myself if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, just put it up on the screen, but I'm pretty sure that was the name of the colorway. And it's just this beautiful pink colorway with speckles in green, pink, and yellow. Those are the only colors, yeah. So the changes that I made, like I said, I made the armholes a little bit shorter so that I would not have any bra showing, and I will have to say, it is exactly how I wanted it to look. I made the straps just slightly thicker. I think I added like maybe like 1 or 2 stitches, honestly, just for that extra assurance that the straps wouldn't show. I also adjusted the bust shaping because the way that I had done it on this sample, it was basically like as soon as you finish the armhole increases and then you start the body, I basically just started decreasing. It was like gaping because of that. I really should have done the decreases a bit further down, kind of like midway into the bust and then below, rather than right at the top and then like decreasing into like the point where it gets to like halfway and then all of a sudden it wasn't looking right. So that was something that really needed to be fixed, and I did fix it. So I ended up knitting the body flat, not flat, but like straight for quite a few centimeters before I did the decreases. And then also I just realized I also changed the armhole increase rate. I like did more of the armhole without increasing and then just like changed the increase rate to be more frequent, and I preferred how that looked. I felt that that was a better option for the shaping, a better shape basically, and just fit better. So yeah, those were the main changes I made, and obviously like I said, I made it shorter, but I'm trying to think, I don't think there was much else. Like I said, super happy with how it fits. It's just like perfect. I mean, you can probably already kind of like imagine. And I just love how this cable continues all the way down. I just think it's such a fun detail, and it really keeps it interesting without it being like too much. Like you're only cabling every couple of rows and, you know, only really at the sides. So it's not too much on your hands and your brain, and it still makes it like a pretty easily kind of like on the go type of project. So yeah, just really love this design so much. If you're interested in testing it, keep an eye out. I will have the testing call out very soon. As always, Instagram, that's where that's going to be posted. So make sure you're following me. Make sure you also join my broadcast group, because I share everything there. And if the algorithm doesn't want to show you my posts or my stories, you will hopefully get a notification in your inbox, you know, in your Instagram DMs, so you'll see the testing call. So yeah, that's all the plugs. And yeah, once again, comment name suggestions, because I really need them. Okay, the last FO that I'll be showing you is probably one that you have seen a gazillion other knitters make, but it was my first one, and I thought it was finally time for me to officially become a knitter. So I can now officially say that I am one, because I have knit a Ranunculus. Who is surprised? Actually me, because I honestly didn't think I would ever knit this. I had never had a desire. I obviously have seen it so many times. I've seen like every podcast to talk about it. I've seen everyone make it. Even like my knitting group, they did like a cowl last year. They did a knit along for it, and like we had one meetup where they just all showed up wearing them, and it was, I felt the FOMO, but part of me was like, you're feeling the FOMO, but like I just didn't have the desire to make it. Like, it sounds funny now because I love how this looks on me, but I just didn't think that it like suited me. I don't know why. I just thought it was a bit like, I don't know how to say this without sounding offensive, but like it wasn't giving the youthful vibes that I try to give with my wardrobe and with my designs and with my knits. But I take it back, because I think it's all about the yarn that you choose and the way that you style it and everything. So yeah. I don't know why, it was just kind of giving an older vibe than what I am trying to do with my style, what I generally am drawn towards. But basically I caved because I had 2 skeins of this yarn. It's a worsted weight yarn that I bought at the florist, and it was from Hot Knit yarn, and the colorway is Azure Sunset. I only had 2 skeins because that was all that they had there, but like, there aren't many things you can make with 2 skeins of worsted weight yarn. Like, it's kind of an annoying yarn quantity. I think at the time I thought it was DK, because it's definitely like a lighter worsted weight, and I didn't read the tag properly clearly, and so I was like, yeah, 2 skeins is fine, like I could make like a tank or something. But once I kind of realized it was worsted weight, I was like, I don't really know if I want to make a tank with worsted weight. Like, I think a tank with DK is kind of already pushing it in terms of like weather appropriateness. So I was like, no, I don't think I want that too close to my body. But what am I going to do with 2 skeins of worsted weight yarn? Like, I just don't know. And as we all know, I'm a garment knitter, so like, I'm not going to make a beanie. I was like, what can I do? And then I don't know why I thought about doing the Ranunculus. I think I was just curious to see, because I know that people have made it in like so many different weights of yarn. And so I was just curious, and I looked, and it was like, you could knit it with lace weight yarn, or you could knit it with worsted weight yarn. I was like, how is that the same pattern? Like, I don't understand. I still don't really understand, but I think it's just like you play around with the gauge, and you might want like a looser gauge or a tighter gauge. There's also the different neckline options and everything, and the different sleeve options. So it's a very versatile pattern. So I was like, you know what? I think I can do this with 2 skeins. Now in hindsight, like maybe I could have made a tee that wasn't this with 2 skeins, but I think I just wanted to like be sure. And I decided that, you know what, I was gonna give it a crack and see how it went. And honestly, guys, I'm converted. I'm literally converted. I think the pattern is incredible. My mind was blown from the very start from doing with like a tubular provisional cast on, something like that. I can't remember the exact terminology that she used, but I was literally mind blown and I couldn't believe just how it happened. Like it was a very mind blowing experience to do that cast on, which just gives it that like extra stretchiness, because you should have seen this before blocking. Like it was literally like this big. I was like, how is my head going to fit into there? But it just stretches so much that I could even get it over my head before blocking. But obviously after blocking, it sits a bit wider just without having to stretch it. And then obviously there's like the beautiful twisted rib. Actually, this is my first time working a circular yoke, so that was already like new experience. I was like, how are we going to do the shaping for this? Like, how's that going to work? Because I've only ever done like raglans when it comes to like top down worked in the round. I've never done a circular yoke, so that was something also a bit new for me. But yeah, like I just love how there's just this like subtle short row shaping that allows it to kind of, I think she describes it like looking like a necklace. I think that's really, really cool. And then of course, all of these stitches, I learned so many new stitches and new like techniques making this, and it was so fun. I will say I made quite a few mistakes and I did have to go back and restart rows like several times, which was very annoying, but it was worth it because I knew it was like, you know, it was only for the yoke. It wasn't going to be like the entire pattern that I was going to be having to focus really hard on making sure I did everything right. So yeah, I had to fix my mistakes like quite a few times, which is, like I said, a bit annoying, but worth it, because once we passed the yoke and got to the point of working in the round, it was an absolute breeze. And I could have finished this in like a few days, but then I just took a break so that I could knit that tank top. So it ended up taking me probably like a month to finish, but I only really spent like a few days actually knitting it. So yeah, it was a super, super quick and addictive project. And then obviously the twisted rib at the bottom I think is so beautiful. And I decided to add some ribbing onto the sleeves as well, which I think the actual pattern doesn't have like as an official option, but she does kind of mention like you might want to add ribbing. So it's like very customizable. And yeah, like the Riley tee, I used just about every single bit of yarn that I had for this. I was very resourceful with my yarn and made sure to not lose yarn chicken, but also to make it fit me perfectly. And after blocking, it's just so nice. I have worn this quite a bit as well. It's another great tee that I can like wear to work. Like it's a little bit, you know, obviously just like a bit more modest than some of my other pieces. So it's just perfect. And I take back my negative thoughts that I'd actually never communicated before. So I feel like I'm just like, I never had actually said the fact that I didn't like the pattern, or didn't, no, it's not that I didn't like the pattern, I didn't want to make it. But now you know, I never wanted to make it, but I've been converted. I get the hype, I understand. I'll probably make another one at some point when I find the right yarn for it, or when I feel the urge. It's a really great stash buster, I guess, if you have kind of any yarn between lace weight and worsted weight, as long as you obviously like have enough of the yarn. But like, yeah, I made the smallest size, which also never happens. Like it's graded with like a ridiculous amount of positive ease, and I was like, okay, well, if I make the size that's like supposed to be for my bust size, like firstly I won't have enough yarn, and also it's going to be huge, and I didn't want that. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to make the smallest size and we'll see what happens. That never would normally work out for me, because normally it would just be too small, but not for this. I made the smallest size and I used all the yarn I had, and it's very much got positive ease. Like it's not like it's fitted super tight on me. It was super tight before blocking, but after blocking, it's great. It's stunning. So definitely happy that I made this. Comment below if you've made a ranunculus. Let me know how many you've made, because I know some people have made multiple. So yeah, anyway, that is this one. And that actually concludes the FO section of the podcast. I actually only have 2 whips to show you, so we're nearing the end. I'll start with this one because it is one that I've already shown briefly in my vlog from when I was in WA, and I honestly don't think I've really made like any progress since then. So if you want to see more of my thoughts, you can go watch that video. I talk about it probably in a little bit more depth there, because I really did think I was gonna make more progress on it, but I just have become very, very preoccupied with this test knit, so it's kind of gone on the back burner. But this is my Daydreamer cardigan by Kutovakika. This is actually the first pattern I've ever made of hers. I had this like weird inkling to make the Ignite cardigan by Petite Knit, which if you are familiar is knit with brioche, and it's I think on 3mm needles, which I know is a bad idea, but I just had this weird inkling to make it because I think I'd seen someone else making it and it looked incredible, and I was like, well, I want to make it. I need that cardigan. But I was talked out of it very quickly and ended up remembering that there was this cardigan which was in half fisherman's rib, which is much easier in my opinion. I mean, I've done brioche before like once and it wasn't as hard as ever I made it out to be, but more familiar stitch that like I've done it heaps of times. Obviously, as you can tell, like not knit on 3mm needles. Like I am knitting this on 5.5, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it called for 6, but I wasn't quite meeting gauge, so I had to size down. And it actually worked out perfectly because I had this yarn. It's actually 3 different colors. Sorry, like the skeins are almost finished, so they look a bit demented. But I had these 3 skeins, sorry, these 3 colors. I have like plenty more than 3 skeins of Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair that I bought while I was in Copenhagen, I'm pretty sure, with the intention of making one of the cardigans from my Everything's Knitwear, number 6 or number 7. I can't remember the number. I'm really sorry. I never ended up making the pattern, so it's not like firmly in my brain. But it's the one with the lacy pattern with mohair. That's the one I was gonna make. And I kind of just like put it off for a while because although I loved the design, it's stunning and I would still honestly love to make something like it. It's not a size inclusive pattern and I just don't really feel comfortable promoting those patterns anymore. So yeah, I mean like I never really wanted to promote those patterns, but I just have kind of come to the realization that like just knitting them and talking about them in these videos and posting about them on my page is just, it is giving them promotion, and I'd rather promote patterns that are size inclusive because I honestly think at this point designers, especially big designers like My Favorite Things Knitwear, really have the resources to go back and regrade their old patterns to make them size inclusive. I know they are more inclusive now, probably still not enough, but better. Like I've made one of her patterns, I think 2023, one of her patterns that she came out with, and it went up to a 4XL, so it's definitely better. It's not, you know, as inclusive as it could be, but it's definitely a step up. I think this one only came in like 3 or 4 sizes, so yeah, I think also just like I'm lucky that I will most likely fit into those sizes, but even then, like when there's only 3 or 4 sizes, it's like there's only so many fits that you're gonna get. Like it's still probably not gonna be a perfect fit. So yeah, I decided to pivot. The only thing was like I just didn't really know what to do with these mohair skeins because I'd planned to use them all together. They're 3 different shades of pink, but I wanted them to be used together. I thought it would like have much more of like a mild effect. You honestly can't really tell. That's probably because of the mohair, but like you just can't really tell that there are 3 different colors. It's still really pretty and like it's definitely giving shiny halo-y pink prettiness, but it doesn't really look like 3 colors, so oh well. Anyway, I basically was like, okay, well let me swatch this and see if I can use these, because it doesn't actually call for 3 for 3 strands of mohair. I can't even remember what the pattern calls for, but it doesn't call for 3 strands of mohair. I think that was like probably gonna give me a bit of like a more airy fabric than what the pattern calls for, but I was fine with that. I don't mind it being like very lightweight. Like, I mean, I intended to use it for a lace pattern, so yeah, that's kind of the vibe anyway that I was going for. So I just was like, yeah, I'll just knit it with like a more airy fabric. That's fine. And I swatched it and it seemed to work out. So, I mean, obviously Fisherman's Rib is very stretchy, so I think it'll be fine. And yeah, this is kind of currently where I'm at. I'm still working on the yoke. It's a top-down half Fisherman's Rib design, which I have never done, so it's really cool to see kind of how the raglan increases are done. It's like a different technique than what I've used normally. Like she doesn't do like traditional like make one left, make one right increases. So that's been fun. I'm probably gonna have to check the pattern again to remember how to do them because it's been that long since I like picked this up. But yeah, I'm still working those increases, and hopefully once I kind of get to the body, it'll work up a bit faster and I'll just hopefully get it done eventually. Okay, last but not least, the project that has been taking up all of my knitting time and brain capacity basically over the last, I don't even know how long, maybe like 2 weeks, maybe? I actually don't know when I cast this on. I probably should keep track of how long it takes me and when I cast things on, but I don't know. I'm gonna say 2 weeks. Could be less. It's probably not more than that, but it could be less. That is this test knit that I'm currently doing. I'll actually show you the back because I finished the back section and I just want you to like appreciate these cables. So this is a pattern I'm test knitting for M Knits, who designed the iconic Winona why can't I talk? Winona, I don't actually know how to say that. Polo, not pullover. Winona, Jamie, talk. Winona Polo. That is such a tongue twister. I'll put it up on the screen just in case you're not familiar, but she designed that iconic design. I feel like I was just seeing it everywhere. She is such a talented designer. She has so many other beautiful patterns. I don't know how I'm gonna even pick my complimentary pattern that I get for doing this test knit. I don't know how I'm gonna choose because she has such an eye for classy, clean, technical design. Like her eye for detail is just immaculate, honestly, and I am blown away by this pattern. I am honestly in awe of like how much detail has gone into this, how much thought. Like, I'm in awe of the whole thing. It's been a pleasure to test it so far. And yeah, I should probably tell you the name of the pattern. This is the Maeve vest. As you can see, it has beautiful cabled armholes. As I mentioned, that was the first thing that caught my eye when she first posted about it. I haven't done a cable knit like this intense, maybe ever. Like, or not in a while. Definitely not something this intense on, I'm using 3.5mm needles, I'm pretty sure. I think the pattern calls for like probably 4mm needles maybe, but I was a bit off gauge as per usual, so I've had to size down. Yay for my hands, I guess. But yeah, I don't think I've ever done anything this intricate on such small needles, so I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into. It's definitely taking longer than things would normally take me when I'm just like knitting in stockinette mindlessly, but it's just been so good for my brain. It's been really, really rewarding. It's been so fun to see these cables come to life, and it's just such a well-written pattern, such a well-designed pattern. It's got the short row shaping at the back, which is just so like clean and seamless. I'm like I said, I'm in awe of her. I don't know how she does it. Like, as coming from a designer, like I could not do something like this. I would die. So yeah, it is very, very impressive, and she deserves all the love and praise and success. The yarn I chose is from Chaos Yarn. These are both yarns I've used before together. I used them for my Monday sweater, which I've worn so much this past year since I finished making it that like I know I'm gonna get so much wear out of this. I bought this yarn also on my trip. I bought 3 skeins of each. This is their organic soft mohair, and this is their organic brushed alpaca. The colorway is Vivacious, which I love the name. It's this beautiful like minty green, very vibrant, very bright. I'm currently about halfway through the front section. I've started the armhole increases, so we're getting there, and then I feel like I'm just ready to be working in the round. Not that that's going to make that much of a difference because there's so many cables and knits and pearls, like wrong side, right side doesn't really make a difference, but I'm just ready to be like working in like a consistent kind of pattern and getting towards the end, because yeah, it has been a lot. It's been a lot for my hands. I've had to take some breaks, like sometimes like I've had to take breaks for a few days just to make sure that my wrists are okay, because with all the cables and the knits and the pearls and the twisted stitches, it's sometimes my hands don't like me for it. My wrists don't like me for it. So yeah, I've been obviously taking this one slow-ish. I have obviously made like a lot of progress, and it's a very tedious pattern, but like I'm obviously trying to take care of myself. So I'm glad I started it when I did. I already had the yarn on hand, which was helpful, but yeah, I have like ample time to finish it, and if I need to slow down, I will. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I gave myself enough time so that I could, and I wasn't rushing it, because that would definitely not be a good thing for me. So yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend rushing anything like this. It's a lot for the hands, but it's gonna be so worth it, because it's just like, I hope you can just appreciate all the cables. Look how many cables there are. Like, it's just so good. So good. So yeah, keep an eye out. I think the pattern will be out in April, most likely. Okay, we finally finished. How long have I been filming this? Over an hour. I'm sick of my voice and my throat is sick of talking. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. I don't know, I don't really post there, but follow me there, just in case I do decide to randomly post. I'm also on Blue Sky. I don't really go on that app, but if people are on Blue Sky, follow me there. I'll put the link in the description. Because if enough people do it, I will do it. But I don't like going on an app when there's like hardly anyone using it. So anyway, if you're on Blue Sky, let's hang out on Blue Sky, I guess, because I think that's what's happening now, or what people want to make happen. I have no idea. But anyway, make sure you follow me on Instagram. That's where I am the most. Check out my patterns. All the links are in the description. Check out all the other patterns that I talked about. Those links will be there too. And yeah, happy knitting, I guess.